Hi, I'm Molly and I'm here to tell you that there's a few sound problems with this episode. Sorry about that, but please do listen to this episode. Hit it, guys!
2, 3, 4.
From We Are Spectacular, this is a Spectacular Marketing Podcast. A podcast about everything brand, marketing, digital and social for the food and drink industry and beyond. So today I'm in really unusual surroundings. And by that I mean I'm actually in the north of Wales and I'm at a Buddhist retreat called the Hermitage. So can't recommend this place enough. Great to get away, a bit of a digital detox. Not much signal, which is good in terms of getting away from email and Wi-Fi and all these things. And I've actually been catching up with an old friend called Jayasiddhi. So Jayasiddhi used to run a meditation class that I used to go to try and help de-stress and chill out a bit now and again in previous lives and previous jobs. And we just struck up a bit of a friendship. So he very kindly invited me up at the start of my summer holiday and I had a couple of days spare, so I thought, why not? So as part of that, he was very open to the idea of doing a podcast to talk about the place that he's living now, his journey, and also a bit about Buddhism and applying it to modern life. So quite a different direction for the podcast this week. I hope you find it interesting and engaging, and hopefully it will bring something to all of you listening as well. So today it gives me, the most amount of pleasure ever to have a very special guest with me, who is the most wondrous, honourable, generous Jayasiddhi.
Well, thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
So we're in wet Wales. Wet Wales.
Wet Wales?
I've just been damp, basically, since I've been here. So I wasn't expecting this. I didn't pack for this. Yeah, I've just made grave errors in the costume department.
Who would have thought that it might rain?
Well, not AccuWeather, which I checked.
You should have asked me.
Well, yeah, I probably should have phoned. Right, so just to set the scene, we're in a, what are we in? We're in a static home, caravan.
Caravan?
Yes.
Mobile home.
Which my dad used to have, so we're joking earlier on, right in the Trossachs.
Yep.
Which you said was unfortunate. Sounded painful. But we're on a, what do you call this?
I'd say we're in a retreat centre.
But yeah,
Buddhist retreat centre.
Buddhist retreat centre called the Hermitage.
The Hermitage.
Which is wonderful, and it's up some very scary thin tracks. I'm just not a confident driver.
There are some scary thin tracks between Brighton and here.
Yeah.
There aren't very many hills around here, are there?
Oh, well, on the way up, I did say to you I was going to phone you and turn back because there was a lot of cliff edges. It wasn't chickens, it was sheep. That was my main problem. But yeah, I'm not the most confident of drivers in the world. So yeah, I got here and I just thought, yeah, your cheery face got me through. So thanks for that. And you even made me climb a mountain last night. So
yeah, it was a small thing.
It was a bit of a rock, basically, yeah. But but the big fearty in me got up there. So thanks for that. So yeah. So thanks for agreeing to do a podcast.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Yeah. I know you were
promising to do it for ages.
Yeah, I know, and I know. Yeah, it was a big ask. So thank you. And we've both got faces for radio, so it's all good. Me more than you. But I just thought it'd be really interesting as a bit of a holiday edition of the Spectacular Marketing Podcast, where usually it's kind of, here's how you do your brand, here's marketing stuff, here's stuff about coffee, which we're having lovely coffee right now. You're the fastest coffee maker in the West. But yeah, I just thought it would be quite interesting on a kind of holiday edition, and we'll try and get this put up pretty quickly for people coming back from their summer breaks, whatever they're doing, and as I'm on my summer break, was to think about, just try and come back into work thinking differently, and think about, are you doing the right thing? Are you in the right mindset? Are you living life to the full? Are you living life with the right purpose? Are you happy? You know, are you in the right mindset? You know, are you getting as much out of this existence as you might be? And I thought you'd have all the answers for that.
Yeah, good luck with that.
So, Jayasiddhi, just to explain as well, so I tell my friends, because it sounds really impressive, I've called you my Buddhist master, which is a bit much maybe.
It is a bit much.
But it sounds great though, doesn't it?
It does sound great. I wish it was a bit much.
So,
Makes you sound like a Jedi.
I know, it's good. You're my Yoda without being green. So you would call yourself a Buddhist monk?
Yep, I call myself a Buddhist monk. I'm sitting here wearing robes. That's a bit of a giveaway, isn't it?
It's a dead giveaway.
Yep, and I'm not on radio or podcast.
Oh, there'll be pictures.
Oh. Okay. So yeah, I hold an ordination in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. I took an ordination about 3 years ago in Canada at a monastery there called Gampo Abbey, and I hold a very junior ordination, a very young baby ordination. In fact, it's the ordination that in Tibetan monasteries they normally give to children who are too young to take novice vows. You have to be 18 to take novice vows. So it's a very junior ordination, but it means that I observe the basic fundamental sort of training rules of a Buddhist monk, but I don't have to take the full 256 vows about not teaching while they're riding camels or wearing turbans, things like that.
256?
Something like that, yeah. It varies from tradition to tradition, but yeah.
So is this forever ever, or...?
Ever. I made a commitment in May 2 years ago that I would hold the vows for 3 years, which would have been 3.5 years in total. But I'm actually returning to my monastery in a few weeks' time, where I'll complete another year of monastic training. So I'm committed to doing 4 years in robes at this point. And we'll see where I am in 4 years' time as to whether or not I renew that commitment, or whether I can honourably give back my robes and return to a shadier lifestyle.
Shady. And then, so what's monastic training? What's that?
Monastic training is the name that Gampo Abbey gives to the training they provide to people that go and live with them and take temporary monastic vows, who may go on to become lifelong monastics. But it's a collection of training which includes meditation and ethical training, but also a lot of the stuff that's particular to just being a monastic, which is about mindfulness really. It's about etiquette. So what angle do you bow at when you go into the meditation hall? How do you wear your robes in a way that's orderly and respectful? How you behave in mixed company? All sorts of things really. Yeah. So it's about etiquette and mindful living.
So that's going through your mind even this morning when we were, having classes and things like that this morning when we were, when you're, bowing to the shrine and things like that, or are you doing it just as second nature now that you know? Yeah,
quite a lot of them become ingrained after a while.
Wow.
So this morning I did 3 prostrations to the shrine, taking my robe off in a particular way, putting it back on in a particular way. These are all things that I practiced a lot over the last 3 years, and much of it I don't think about so much anymore. But as I'm not living in the monastery at the moment, certain things kind of slip.
Yeah.
So I can sometimes be spotted drinking a cup of tea standing up, whereas that's not something I would do.
Oh, is that not the... Okay. Yeah. Not the done thing?
Not the done thing.
Yeah. I think it teaches you, even I've only been here for a few hours, and it just teaches you a bit of respect. I've kind of jolted into action a couple of times. Like last night we went out for dinner and, just forgetting to, sort of say a blessing before the meal. Just small big things like that. And I was like, oh, of course, I was like, oh man, where's my manners, you know. So, you know, it was good. You know, it just teaches you to appreciate and respect and
It's very much
things like
about those little things, isn't it, through the day, those little moments of awakening during the day that just kind of bring you back to your intention and what your life's about. So for me, as a Buddhist, it's about remembering that I'm practicing meditation and ethics and trying to cultivate some wisdom in my own little way. And doing these little acts of what could appear from the outside to be quite religious are actually about cues to bring me back to remember, oh yeah, this is my intention. You know, I'm eating food, but I'm doing it because I want to use that energy that I get from this meal to practice meditation for myself and for the benefit of others as well. You know, that's my intention as a Buddhist, is to practice not just for myself but to be of help to others in some small way.
Yeah.
So yeah, little reminders through the day.
Because we'll definitely touch on this later as well, about connection with the simple things in life, and you know, we'll definitely touch on that later. So I guess we've known each other for six-ish years, maybe. So we were in Milton Keynes, City of Dreams, and you had a lovely class that was going.
That's right.
You used to schlep it over from Cambridge. And then what always made us laugh was there was a yoga class next door which complained to us about the noise that we made, and we were
That
not
was cheeky, wasn't it?
not quite Buddhists maybe, but certainly meditators.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was quite funny.
Complaining to the Buddhist to keep the noise down while they're meditating.
That was kind of fun. But yeah, so I guess you know, when you were doing that, you know, you were teaching us a lot about, I guess there was 2 practices, which was quite simple, I thought, you know, in a good way, which just felt like anyone could do. So there was a mindfulness of breathing.
Following the breath,
Yeah.
Becoming aware of the breathing process as a way to calm the mind.
Yeah, which I thought was a good one that, you know, anyone might be able to use if they were in, you know, in a stressful situation, or, you know, needing to just have a moment. And Metta Bhavana, which I think was my absolute favourite.
Metta Bhavana.
Metta Bhavana. What did I say? Did I miss out some
I think you
vowels?
said Metha, but maybe I missed it.
Well, I can't even say my wife's name correctly, so I've got no hope. I've got no hope. But yeah, I always thought that was a nice just wishing everyone
Cultivation of friendliness and kindness.
Yeah. So we definitely need a lot more of that in business, which again I'm sure we'll touch on. But first I was going to sort of talk about your X Factor journey, your Love Island journey. So what brought you to doing this, or getting into Buddhism, or, you know, whatever you feel comfortable sharing? You know, what'd you get into this?
So I got involved with Buddhism about 22 years ago now. I had been at uni as a mature student, and I was living with my girlfriend, and I was doing a lot of dope. I was smoking a lot of cannabis. I had a bit of a meltdown, and it was a bit ugly, not very pretty, and my girlfriend kicked me out. I ended up sleeping on the sofa at my sister's house, having just finished my degree and looking for a job. Massive overdraft, no benefits. So I took the first job I was offered, which was working for a letting agency in Cambridge. And I was renting these houses to students and other professional people in Cambridge.
I thought you were going to say ne'er-do-wells.
I was thinking of ne'er-do-wells, but I said professional people. And I rented this house to this company, and it was quite a nice house, and I thought we were going to have business suits and, you know, guys going in a very professional way. But when they turned up, I realised that actually they were quite a young bunch of guys, and they were all wearing jeans and t-shirts, and they were a bit hairy and a bit grubby, and I thought, oh no. And I was really concerned for my landlord, who loved this house because it used to be his mother's house. He grew up there. So after a few weeks I went back and did a property inspection just to make sure that it hadn't been trashed. And to be honest, I was expecting to see beer cans all over the floor and cigarette burns in the carpet and pizza stuck to the walls, you know, this sort of thing. Like typical student house. And I went in, and the guy opened the door and invited me in to have a look around. And it smelled of incense and herbal tea. You know, he offered me a mint tea. And we were wandering around, he was showing me the house, and it was clean and tidy, and had a really nice atmosphere, actually. It felt very homely. And he was showing me the bedrooms where they slept, and you know, some of these guys were sharing rooms together, and they were sleeping on the floor on just kind of like futons or mattresses on the floor. And they were sharing their possessions and living very simply. And I was like, what is all this about, you know? And then they showed me this other bedroom, which had 2 rows of cushions, meditation cushions, and at the end was a shrine with pictures of Buddhas and Buddhist teachers and the smell of incense and candles. And I was like, whoa, this is really unreal. What's all this about? But there was a part of me that was really taken with it. I was a bit suspicious, but I was also really interested. And I was interested partly by the really simple living. There was a part of that really attracted the kind of socialist in me, that kind of alternative dropout. It's not all about the money side of me. But there was something about the shrine as well that really grabbed me. And this guy who was showing me around, I was asking him all these questions. You know, so are you Buddhist? So you're all vegetarian then, aren't you? And he said, well, some of us are. So I was like, okay. So you Buddhists, you don't drink, do you? Well, some of us don't, but some of us do. And so you Buddhists, you believe in karma, don't you? Well, that's in the teachings, but not all of us believe in karma. I just couldn't get anything sensible out of him, to be honest. It was almost like deliberately trying to not answer my questions. So I went away none the wiser, really. But it did pique my curiosity. So I went to the library and started getting books out on Buddhism and reading everything I could get on Buddhism. And I'd seen Kung Fu on telly as a kid, and the Monkey TV series. That was the extent of my knowledge about Buddhism. But there was something in those TV series, I think, that kind of sowed a seed.
Yeah.
So I was reading these books, and all the books were saying, you know, if you want to take this further, you really need to find someone to teach you to meditate. You can't practice Buddhism just by ideas. It's not just about concepts. I really loved the ideas I was finding in the books, you know, things like impermanence and insubstantiality and karma and all of these teachings. I was just thinking, in a way, I've kind of always believed this stuff. You know, it wasn't like I was...
It wasn't a revelation.
It wasn't a revelation. It's like, you treat people badly, you're going to feel bad. You know, that's what's going to come of that. You get it back one way or another. And so I really loved the teachings, but I tried a bit of meditation on my own, you know, just kind of sitting in my bedroom. And that wasn't really doing anything. I hadn't got a clue where to start. Whether I was meditating or not, I really just didn't know the difference.
I think that's one of the difficulties with it. You've got no benchmark to...
Yeah.
You know, it's if you play the guitar or you go to the gym or you tangibly can know what's... You've got no idea.
It's an entirely different thing, isn't it? It's like a different skill set.
But it's internal.
Yeah.
To a certain extent. You know, so it's like, what's your checkup?
Yeah, how do you know? How do you get it from reading a book? I mean, you can get tapes and, you know, MP3s and...
Tapes,
I know, that's just nice, isn't it? Podcasts. You can get podcasts and downloads of meditation instructions these days. But even then, that's one-sided, isn't it? So you've got someone telling you how to do it, but you haven't actually got someone to feed that back to. So you could say, well, you know, follow the breath. So you do that for 10 minutes. But, you know, with a download, you can't really say to the download, you know, well, I'm following my breath, but I don't know if I'm doing this right. You know, should I be pushing really hard to stay concentrated, or should I relax a little bit? So you really need someone, you need a teacher really that you can work with. Someone that can ask questions about how it's going and steer you in the right direction, because there are a lot of cul-de-sacs. You know, you can really get a bit dead-ended on your own. It's really helpful to have an experienced meditator that can talk with you about your practice and help keep you on the right track.
Just making me smile, because one of the ones you've come up with a few crackers over the years, but one of the ones you said to us in one of my first weeks was just like, so breathe in and out, and if you go to 10, that's great. If you go to 11, you went too far.
Counting the breath.
Cheers.
Yeah, helpful advice.
Thanks for that.
Good advice in difficult times. Yeah.
I think that's what made it kind of easier as well, because it wasn't all pull-faced and,
Yeah.
you made it fun. It was just a lot easier, rather than, you must do this and you'll get chastised if you don't. And, it was just like, it was a laugh,
There's a time to be serious, isn't there? But there's also, it should be fun. Meditation, if you're going to really get into it, then you have to enjoy it. At some level there has to be some sense of getting something out of it. It's not torture. We don't do it deliberately to, make it hard for people.
No. Yeah. That was fun.
So I went along to the local Buddhist centre and learnt to meditate. And then
Was this Cambridge then?
that was in Cambridge, yeah. And got involved pretty quickly. Did a couple of meditation courses and then started volunteering around the centre and doing painting and decorating and stuff like that for them. And about 4 years later, I gave up my job as a letting agent and gave back my company car and my pension, and ended up working full time for the Buddhist charity that I'd been renting the house to. So I actually ended up working for the organisation that had got me involved in the first place. And ended up working in the same office as the guy who wouldn't answer my questions.
All right.
Yeah. So, I spent a few years working for that Buddhist charity and living in men's Buddhist communities. And did a variety of different jobs for the charity. Eventually I was ordained into the Triratna Buddhist order. And I was ordained with them for about 10 years. And I started looking around a little bit. I went to Canada in 2006 and did 6 months at Gampo Abbey, which is a monastery, part of the Shambhala tradition, which is where Pema Chodron has done her training. That's where she teaches. I wasn't sure if I really wanted to be a monk or not, but just wanted to go and try it out, find out what it was like, get a taste for it, I guess. Yeah. Came back to the UK, did some more time with the charity in Cambridge, went back and had another go in 2008, 2009, again 6 months, and then came back to Cambridge. And at that point I thought, actually I think I've got more to do in the world. I don't think I'm quite ready to retire to a monastery and be very quiet and secluded. I felt that I wanted to be fully engaged in the world, to practice engaged Buddhism.
Yeah.
So I started a company in Cambridge, a residential letting agency owned by this Buddhist charity called Windhorse Trust. Company name was New View Residential, and you gave me some very helpful marketing tips at that point. And we started this not-for-profit letting agency, where the profits were divided between Buddhist charities and local charities nominated by our landlords. So I threw my energy into that and ran that for about 5 years. And then after 5 years, I really felt I'd engaged about as much as I wanted to with the world and ran back off to the monastery.
I see you went back to...
I went back to Gampo Abbey in Canada, did another year there. But I did that particularly because I was interested in a particular set of teachings and meditations that I'd found in the Tibetan tradition. At that point, I'd found a teacher called Lama Shenpen Hookham, who is my teacher now. I'd done a course of study on meditation with her, a correspondence, sort of distance learning course, with a mentor over Skype. And I've been on retreat here a few times and was really getting into this kind of open, formless meditation, which is a very spacious, relaxed way to meditate. And teachings on Buddha nature, which are about Buddha nature. It's kind of like the antithesis of original sin, I guess.
Okay.
So we have this idea, and certainly a feeling, I think, in Western culture that at some level we've done something wrong. At some level existentially we feel that there's something not quite right with us. It's almost like we don't quite trust ourselves. We don't give ourselves the benefit of the doubt. We're wrong somehow. We're somehow flawed. And this comes out, doesn't it, in terms of low self-esteem, depression, these sorts of things. But Buddha nature is this teaching that fundamentally we're okay. We're basically good. We all have this irreducible quality, which is just the nature of awareness, actually. That consciousness itself, mind itself, is not a bad thing, and we all have consciousness. And this consciousness has some fundamental qualities, such as openness and clarity or wisdom, and sensitivity, which could be expressed as greed or it could be expressed as compassion. But those qualities are always there, they're always constant in any conscious being. So really it's a case of just relaxing into that and learning to trust your innate qualities rather than working really hard to try and generate all these new positive qualities that you have to bolt onto yourself. It's like some kind of spiritual weight training. So it's not about building up big spiritual muscles, it's about relaxing into who you really are. And that really attracted me. I thought that was very good.
I think that's a lovely thought, and I think that's what attracted me too. And at the base level, and again, I think I'm paraphrasing massively, but one of the ways that you described it one of the times was just like the aircraft's going down, and you've got to put your own mask on first. You've got to love yourself. You've got to have self-worth. You've got to, you've got to give kindness to yourself before.
So when the overhead mask drops down, you have to get the oxygen first before you can help others.
And I think, because I think there is, it's just you're not good enough. You're not, and as you say, then you try and you buy things to make yourself feel better. You do things to make yourself feel better. And as you say, you're enough. You're capable. You're plenty. Just double down on that. Relax into that. As you say, lean into that. You are what you are, and hopefully enough people will, be drawn to that. And if they're not, hey ho.
There was a wonderful Japanese Zen teacher who lived in the States in the 1970s. His name was Shunryu Suzuki, and he used to say to his students, you're all completely perfect just as you are. You just need a little bit of work. So the Buddha nature teachings are not saying that you don't have to do anything. It's not saying that you don't have to work on yourself at some level, but it's saying that you already have the raw material. So the analogy that we use is a bit like if you were walking by the side of the road, and you spotted something, in the curb, and you picked it up and you found that it was a precious gem, like a diamond maybe, and perhaps it's covered in muck, perhaps it's covered in soot and pollution and chewing gum and grime, but you've got a diamond, haven't you? It's covered in crud, but it's a diamond. So all you need to do really is just rub it on your jeans, and you've got a sparkling, perfect, undamaged diamond. The diamond isn't damaged by the crud. You don't have to create the diamond. The diamond's there. And that's the teaching on Buddha nature, is that we already have these qualities. When we see someone fall over in the street, we naturally feel compassion for them. We naturally want to help them to get up again. Are you okay? Can I help? You don't have to be taught that. That's implicit in our nature. So we have the diamond. We already have those qualities. But the qualities can get covered over with crud. We get into bad habits. We keep repeating these coping mechanisms, these strategies for our own happiness, which can trip us up. But these are just kind of distortions of those basic qualities that we already have.
Definitely. And then just thinking about routines and stuff. So, what's life like living here then? I've had a tiny taste of it. Man, it's hard work.
Yeah.
I thought I was coming for a spa weekend.
It's better than working, man.
Yeah, that's for sure. But yeah, it's busy.
Yeah.
It's no picnic.
Yeah.
It's no picnic.
Our day here starts at 7. We meditate together from 7 a.m. till 8 a.m. We do some chanting and some mantras and meditation. Some of the people here get up and do an hour's yoga before that. Sometimes I get up and do an hour's meditation. Not much of a yogi myself.
Yeah, I'd like to have seen that downward dog.
I haven't got the legs for it.
I don't know. I never see them in that robe.
No, that's right. Ankle length. Yeah, there's a good reason for that. Yeah. So then we have breakfast from 8 till 9.
Very good breakfast.
Yeah, nice porridge. Yeah, thank you. And then from 9 to 10 we're back in the shrine room doing some more meditation. We do some visualization of the Buddha and some mantra chanting. Then from 10 till lunch we do some work, office work, or could be talking to meditation students on the phone or by Skype. Might be gardening or maintenance, cooking.
Did that today?
Yep.
You need sharper knives. I'm going to get you some as a gift.
And in the afternoon we have free time to do some personal meditation practice or go for a walk. Sometimes we have meetings. And then in the evening from 8 till 9 we have more meditation and chanting. That's a fairly standard day. One day a week is silent practice, so we're in silence all day. We do a bit more practice, a bit more personal practice in our rooms. Saturday's a bit of a day off.
Is it?
Yeah, might go for a walk.
That's cool. It's a long day though. That's a long day.
Yeah, we get a bit done. Yeah. Like on a typical day, I guess I do about 5 hours of meditation and about 3 or 4 hours of work. Yeah, doesn't leave much time for Netflix.
Not lots of Netflix. So we were discussing injuries as well. We're both suffering text neck.
Yeah.
We're both kind of laptop addicts.
Yeah, looking at your laptop, laying in bed on with pillows behind your head, it's not good, is it?
Yeah.
Sit at a desk.
Any Buddhism box set movie things recommendations worth having a look?
Buddhist.
Well, you told me about that. What was the one with the with the cat with the painting with the tail? What was this?
Oh yeah.
Autumn.
That's spring, summer, autumn, winter, spring. It's a Korean movie. It's about 10 years old now. Yeah.
Just as an aside.
It's a nice, spacious movie. Yeah.
He was painting Enzos with.
He was painting. He was doing calligraphy of the Heart Sutra,
right,
using a cat's tail.
Which the cat wasn't too chuffed
about. The cat wasn't too chuffed. No. Understandably.
We'll try and dig some out though. See if there's any others. We can put them in the podcast notes. See if there's any other things worth watching. Anyway, we're talking about Joseph
Campbell.
Yeah. Which is Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, a friend of George Lucas, who helped to inspire the mythical tales that are well hidden in the Star Wars stories.
So that's worth a watch. It's quite a long watch, isn't it? It's like 7 or 8 hours, isn't it?
Yeah, they're short interviews, aren't they? They're about 45 minutes. Really worth watching, actually. I
need to give it another go.
About what is myth? Why do we need myth in our lives? And the interviewer says something like, "Well, we need myth to give our lives meaning." And Joseph Campbell says, "No, I think we need myth just to lead good human lives. Actually, if you're living your myth, then you're living a good human life." And he had this phrase about following your bliss. Looking at your life and seeing what really inspires you, what really brings you bliss. What is it you really love doing? So pay attention to that and then follow it. Do that. Don't do other things so that you can do that. Do that.
That's interesting. Because I've actually just had a tiny bit of time with Lama Shenpen there, and we covered a very similar subject. Oh, yeah. And we were, towards the end, I came out and you were like, "You alright, mate?" Just was a bit overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Spending time with her, to be honest. And we kind of got into that life's purpose and life worth living and alignment towards that, and actually what can you do that's deeper than just something that's, I guess, transactional in this life. What can you do that's deeper and bigger than... So she left it quite open-ended, but luckily I recorded it, so I'm going to reflect on that. So yeah,
I mean, she's been practicing meditation and Buddhism for over 50 years.
Yeah,
she's got a lot of experience.
I wasn't expecting to feel that
Yeah.
I was not cynical or anything like that at all, far from it, always open-minded. But yeah, it was all very a normal exchange.
Yeah.
And then just towards the end, the volume went up to 20. And I just walked out like, whoa, like just completely shell-shocked. So you can see why.
She gave you both barrels.
4 barrels, I think, yeah. I think, then you start to see why people, beings, like that, just are special, just like, wow,
Yeah.
It was pretty impressive.
She tells it how she sees it.
It was good. It was very good. Yeah. That was,
I like that idea of alignment. That if you can just recognise what it is that really matters to you, what is your heart wish, look at that and then just align yourself with it. It's not like we have to go on any special courses or have any special wisdom. It's like we already know what we want, actually. If we're truthful with ourselves and we really look inwards, we know what we want. And then it's just a matter of setting up the conditions so that our lives align with that and go in that direction.
Would you like me to cheapen this whole thing?
Go on.
There's a video on, like an advert on Instagram right now for basically bodybuilding. And it's this fitness instructor. And it's like, buy now, advert I'd be really proud of. And the guy says, weirdly, says the same thing. Brilliant advert. And he's all ripped and everything. And he just says, like, what you want is in a straight line. And he goes, your problem is you're going to go there to there to there to there. I mean, not good for podcast, me waggling my finger, but he's just like,
that would be a zigzag.
Yeah, you're going to come on the diet, go off the diet, do this, go to the gym, don't go to the gym, go on a habit, go on a holiday, eat too much, don't eat too much, drink too much. He's going, what you want, it's just dead easy. You just need to commit. You just need to, it's just straight lines right there. And it's like, yep.
Talking easy, saying...
what did we talk about? Yeah. The John Vincent say-do gap. Yeah. But yeah, it's, yeah. If only it was easy. I don't think you'd be human though if, you'd be a robot, wouldn't you? If you just were like, right, straight line.
Well, it'd just be so easy, wouldn't it? If it was that easy,
life would be
we'd all
boring.
be doing it. We'd all be ripped and enlightened, wouldn't we?
Ripped and enlightened, yeah. There's a Tinder profile.
Whatever Tinder is.
Oh yeah, you don't know yet, do you? I'm going to enlighten you about Tinder later. Yeah.
In Buddhism, we have this idea of aspiration prayers. So it's like so if you wanted to become awakened for the benefit of all beings, you make aspirations to do that. So you might verbally chant things or say things. May I be well, may I be happy, may I become wiser so that I can help other people. So you'd repeat those aspirations again and again, and use that as a way to align yourself with that aspiration. Knowing full well that you are going to get it wrong, that you are going to be rude to people and upset people, and there are going to be days when you forget to meditate or you can't be bothered to meditate. There's going to be days when you have a beer when you didn't want to, and have a cigarette when you didn't want to, and all the bad habits are going to come out. And, we know that. We're human beings, and that's what we're working with. That's the path in meditation. But it's okay. You come back and you make the aspiration afresh. You realign yourself with the truth of that, and you carry on. You acknowledge where you got it wrong, you put it down, and you pick yourself up and you carry on. And that's the process. It's not a straight line, actually. It is a zigzag. It's very much 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or sometimes just 1 step forward and 2 steps back. But you realign yourself and make the aspiration and get on with it.
Definitely. So, I was just thinking about other Buddhism sort of principles and stuff. So, you're following Tibetan more than any others?
Yep. This Sangha, a Sangha is a Buddhist word for a spiritual community. So this Sangha is called the Awakened Heart Sangha, and Awakened Heart is an English term for enlightened mind, I guess. Mind and heart being the same thing. So it's about that heart that wants to help yourself and other people. And we are part of a Tibetan tradition, yeah. We draw our teachings and our meditation practices from the Karma Kagyu and the Nyingma traditions of Tibetan Buddhism, which is quite a particular sort of form of Buddhism. Buddhism has taken different forms in different areas. Where it's gone to China, it's become Chan. It's gone to Japan and become Zen. And in Tibetan Buddhism, you have this particular flavour of Buddhism.
And what's the sort of principles then, mainly?
Principles.
So is there? I know, like before when we used to do our classes and stuff, there was like noble truths or eightfold paths, and
yeah,
is that, does that exist in this version? Or?
Yep. So what you're describing are the very early Buddhist teachings that the historical Buddha gave in India about 2,500 years ago, something like that.
I knew that.
Yeah, I know you did. I know. It's just for the listeners.
I was a
isn't
good
it?
student.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Buddha recognised that human life is not always happy, is it? You know that we have difficulties and we get upset. We have problems. Sometimes it's just that the coffee's not the right temperature. Sometimes it's we've got cancer. Sometimes the suffering is very great, and sometimes it's quite minimal. But the human life is a mixture, isn't it, of bitter and sweet. It's not all sweet. So he recognised what he called dukkha, or suffering. And he recognised that there was a reason for that. He said, well, we suffer because we attach to things, we grasp after things, we want things our own way. We're not happy unless we're getting things the way we want it. And it's that attachment and fixed way of seeing things that's causing our suffering. It's our idea of how things should be that's out of alignment with the way things really are, rather than the way things really are being out of alignment with what we want. It's a very childish way of looking at the world, isn't it? I want to live forever, I always want to be happy, I want a good-looking girlfriend who's never more than 25 years old, and things have got to be this way, and I want good food all the time, and I never want to get sick. But
all the way to, I want that parking space, I want that seat at the table, I want to get served next, it can go on and on and on and on.
It can be really subtle, can't it? And the more needy and grasping we are, the more we suffer. And this is, to some degree, self-inflicted. So that's what he recognised, wasn't it? Was that we can work on that. The problem is not the way things are. The problem is our mind. So by working with our mind, we can learn a way to be in the world which is happier with things being simple. It recognises that things are impermanent. So we buy nice new laptops and gadgets, and they get lost or broken or stolen, or they have some inbuilt redundancy, which means that we need to replace it 2 years later. And that's just the way things are. That's how things have always been. That's how new life comes into the world, because current life has to pass away. So recognising those truths is fundamental to our happiness. It's coming to terms with the way things really are.
But at what point do you, this is going to sound harsh, at what point do you become a punch bag though? Where's the balance?
How do you mean be a punch bag?
So if you're accepting of suffering, let's say you're at a bar, right? And you're wanting...
A monk, this is a joke, isn't it? Two monks walk into the
Scotsman and the monk. Okay, we almost did last night. So let's say you're at a bar, right, for a soft drink.
Okay.
During the day.
Okay.
And we're going to sit beside it.
Okay.
Is that enough?
Yeah. A non-alcoholic beverage.
Yes, exactly.
Outside a pub serving food on a sunny day. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. We're clear. We're good.
Yeah,
we're good. So, let's say it's busy, and it's your turn to get served next, and you think you should get served next because it's your turn to get served next.
Mm-hmm.
And you keep not getting served next.
Okay.
At what point does your forgiveness, acceptance stop? Because if accepting of suffering, there's only so much. Eventually, you're like, you know.
Really? I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, I see
I'm
what you're
asking
saying.
a question. It's a bad example.
I see what you're
if
saying.
stuff keeps happening to you, let's say,
yeah.
if it's all going a bit wrong.
Well, using your example.
It's a bad example. But yeah.
It's okay. It's a good example. So, you know, you don't want to give up your basic intelligence. Buddhism is not about becoming a pacifist or a punch bag. You know, it's like if you're being deliberately ignored for some reason, and you want to be served, then you need to bring that to the attention of the people involved, don't you? Excuse me, I think I was, you know, I should have been served 3 or 4 people ago. Have you forgotten that I'm here? You know, and it might be they have. You know, they're busy, and you know, you need to just flag up that you want service. Maybe they're ignoring you for a very good reason. You know, maybe I don't know why. There might be a very good reason why they don't want to serve you. In which case, you just need to clarify that, don't you? And then you need to make a decision about whether or not you're going to stick around and argue the point, whether there's any benefit in that, or whether it's better to move to another place. But you know, whether you get your drink or not, how you feel about that later on depends on how much you're attached to getting that drink, and how much you're attached to how people think about you and how people feel about you. So if you feel you're being ignored, and actually it's not really about the drink, it's about, I feel undermined as a human being, you know, this is pushing all my buttons because actually I feel a bit inferior anyway. I feel like I'm always losing out and people are always pushing in front of me. You know, why is this always happening to me? Then, you know, not only have you not got your drink, but you're piling on all this other stuff that, you know, is not really real, and making the whole situation much worse. And that's what we're talking about. It's not like the drink. You know, sometimes you get the drink and sometimes you don't get the drink.
But it's something
but
much bigger.
It's all the stuff you pile on top of that that's the problem.
Yeah. No, I just always wondered. Thanks for clarifying.
And taking the bigger picture, you know, you say, well, things are going to happen. You know, you're going to lose everything, aren't you? You know, we are going to get old, we are going to get sick, and we are going to die. You know, this is a very early Buddhist teaching on impermanence and death. And that's really tough, isn't it? You know, coming to terms with that is difficult. It's not like we can just say, okay, I'm not going to feel aggrieved about having to die someday. You know, so I hear people say this sometimes. Oh, I've really come to terms with death. You know, I've really come to terms with my death. I think, well, good for you, because I don't think I have yet.
No.
But that is the reality of the situation, isn't it? And that's what we're working with, is that eventually we have to give everything up. Which is not to say that there aren't, that there isn't a bigger perspective to life and death. You know, Buddhism would talk about connections between beings that exist between lifetimes, about karma and rebirth, about the broader picture. But from our own personal sort of personality point of view, someday we're going to have to give up everything, aren't we? That's just a reality that we're going to have to learn to work with. So
good segue then, before people decide to stop listening.
It's getting a bit heavy, isn't it?
It's heavy, man.
You asked the Buddhist principle.
I did. Yeah. Is there any other cheerier things in Buddhism? What's the cheery things?
what's the upside? Quick, put some spin on.
What's the guys with the symbols? Who are they? No, so I think, you know, thinking about that though, so the good news is, and something that came up this morning, was about, you know, you could die today, you know, which we're quickly getting to positive, by the way, which was, right, making the most of everything. So just thinking about that for, you know, everyone listening and all the rest of it, you know, and thinking about waking up every morning just with that intent of, you know, you maybe being not as happy as you could be with life in general, a macro level, family situation, partners, relations, jobs, fitness, health, the way you eat. I don't know.
Yeah,
Just go through the whole gamut.
Yeah.
But just describing me, I think. That's not true. That's not true. Pamela, it's not true. But yeah, so I think from that perspective, it's just like, just any thoughts on that, you know, so how, anything you would want to share from, you know, Buddhism in terms of, that kind of stuff.
You know, Buddhism, it does deal with the big issues, like, you know, life and death. But it's not a negative perspective at all, actually. People say, you Buddhists, you're a miserable bunch, aren't you? All you ever talk about is death. So that Dalai Lama, why is he always laughing? You know, why is he always laughing if it's all about death and misery? And it's like, well, that's because it's not about death and misery. You know, that is the truth of the situation, but it's not all about that. There's a teaching about the preciousness of human birth. You know, when you consider the life of the universe, you know, how long it's taken to get to this point. And maybe we are the only life in the universe. Perhaps not, but as far as we know at the moment, you know, we are the only intelligent, semi-intelligent species.
Thanks for reversing
that we're aware of. And when you even look at just this planet, you know, all the different things that you could be born as. You know, you could be born as a wasp or an ant or a politician or something. And here we are, you know, we're human beings, at a time and a place where we have access to technology and medicine. People are living longer than they've ever lived. We have access to all this culture and all of these world religions and practices and meditations. We have wonderful food. We have, in this country, we're very lucky to have, you know, freedom of action and speech. We can believe what we want. We can behave pretty much how we want within reasonable limits. We've got an awful lot to be grateful for, actually. So Buddhism is not about concentrating on the negative. It's about, well, actually, how do we make the most of what we've got? Because we have this pot of riches. You know, we have this wonderful life, this human life, which is about Buddha nature again. You know, we're coming back to these wonderful qualities such as compassion and love and wisdom. We have these qualities already. How do we make the most of that? How do we have the best life that we can have? And how do we help other people to have that life? How do we share this with other people? So that's what basic meditation is about. It's what mindfulness is about. It's about being aware of what we've got, what's actually going on. And sometimes that's being aware that you've got pins and needles in your foot, and sometimes it's about being aware that actually you're feeling quite joyful, and actually you're feeling quite happy. You're eating a really nice sandwich, or you're spending time with a friend, and it's really nice to be with them. You know, being aware of that, you know, that adds so much more to the situation than just being there at sort of, you know, 25% awareness, at the same time playing on your phone, answering emails, and you know, watching Netflix out the corner of your eye. You know, if you're trying to do all of these things, then you're not really living life fully. You're only living on autopilot.
There's something I really struggled with, and something you really helped me with, and I think you even just said to me about connecting with I think you said, like, Mark, next time you're in, and you never like lectured me or anything, you just mentioned it, and you were like, next time you're in the office, and you're having a cup of tea or coffee or whatever, have the coffee and just have the coffee, like nothing else, just connect. And it's just, what a difference it made, you know. And I've completely got out of the habit of it now. Terrible, but I'm, you know, trying to remember. But just having that wee bit of wisdom in your back pocket, which was like, as you're saying, you're triple screen. I've seen myself triple screening, you know. So I've got the laptop on doing a presentation or emails. I've got Facebook. I'm double screening on the train all the time. So I've got emails on plus social going on my phone, or I've got Netflix thing on that's playing, and I've got that and that. And probably, you know, my wife's sitting next to me. She's on her phone, and the little one, thankfully, is probably in her bed or whatever. And you're just going, I don't mean thankfully, but you know, it means I'm not ignoring her. So you're thinking, what are you doing? You know, it's just like, and or if you're at work, I mean, thinking of all the, so your day's starting at, I don't know, as soon as you get up, first thing you do, look at your phone. So that's 6-ish. and then you're taking it to the shower with you, every second. You're not even being aware of getting dressed, or it's like you've got the radio on, but you've not heard a word.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's unbelievable. And just anything that you can do to almost do one thing at a time, and actually look forward to it or appreciate it, or it's a big deal. And I mean, I think there'll be a lot of people in the same boat where, I mean, if you think about so many people that are working mums and dads, they've got to get the kids up, dressed, out to school or nursery before they've even embarked on their journey, which will be hell, by the way, to then get to London, to then even get to their desk. And if they come in at 9, they're probably frowned upon. So they've got to get to wherever they've got to get to for 8:30, and then they'll be in meetings, back to back till 6, 7. They'll be home at 8, 9. Their feet won't have touched the floor, and then bed up again. When do you connect with anything?
So there's some things we can change and some things we can't, aren't there? If you've got family responsibilities, you've chosen that. You've chosen that because probably, you wanted to have a family and that's important to you.
Well, we've discussed this. We were both mistakes. So our parents chose nothing.
I said probably. We can assume, I think, that most children are chosen. So, you've chosen a family and that's great.
Yeah.
Your families are great, aren't they? There's a lot of joy in having kids. But there are things that you can change in that scenario, aren't there? It's like... I think we've become a race of stimulation junkies. It's like our technology and our culture has become... It's speeding up. Even every year on year it seems to get worse. It's like, how much more stuff can we cram in?
Yeah.
So rather than... I mean, if your mind is like a glass of water, if you've got this clear, refreshing liquid in a glass, which is untainted and... it's fine as it is, actually. Now and again, it's nice to experience it a bit differently, isn't it? So you might put in a splash of blackcurrant juice or a bit of orange juice or a bit of lime cordial or something. It's nice to take your water with a bit of something else in it occasionally. But if you're always adding stuff in it, and if you're adding in lime and lemon and orange and blackcurrant, and mixing it all together, I mean, it's flipping horrible, isn't it? I mean, it's not a nice sensation to be doing all those things at once. But we're addicted to it. We're just totally unable to sit still and just experience ourselves in a very direct, ordinary way. Just to sit with our basic sanity and just go, I'm okay, actually. I can sit here without the radio on, without the laptop, without the mobile phone. I can just sit here for a few minutes and just breathe. I can just sit and experience my body, and we can sit here now and we can hear the birds outside. But like you say, I mean, we're playing so many different channels at the same time. We're not even hearing half of what's going on.
No.
But there's this neurosis that we're afraid to be without stimulation, as if somehow, if we're not overstimulated, something bad is going to happen. We might actually have to look at our lives. We might actually have to be with ourselves. And we feel anxious about that. The idea that we might have to be with ourselves, unmediated, is scary to us these days. And I feel it myself sometimes, when I've been in the city and I'm really stimulated, and then I go back and I'm going to go and meditate in the quiet in the country. It's like, do I really want to sit down? Maybe I could just watch something on the laptop or... Yeah. But then when I sit down and meditate, it's like, no, actually it's all right.
Yeah.
What was I afraid of? What did I think I was going to find?
Yeah.
But then the problem is, it's like, if you've got something going on that is bothering you, like you've had an argument at work or with the wife, and you're pushing it to the edge of your awareness, you're filling up on all this other stuff, as a way of not really looking at that.
Yeah.
It's not like that problem goes away, and it's not like your awareness of it is completely dulled out either. It's just sitting there on the periphery, sort of nagging away, bothering us at some sort of low level. So it's not the answer, is it? I mean, if you just turn towards the problem and you look at it,
Oh, it's an avoidance tactic, definitely.
So much more relief in actually just looking at our problems directly.
Because I'm guilty of it. You know, maybe if I've got a big day the next day and I'm like a bit worried about it, or you know, I'm just thinking, oh, I'll just watch that movie, that will take my mind off it. I'd be better doing more preparation for the big day, or you know, rather than, you know, doing something else to take my mind off. It's like, just meet the thing head on, you know. It was interesting you were saying about the 15 minutes, or you know, the 5 minutes or the 3 minutes or whatever, just sitting there and doing nothing. And that's so hard for a lot of people now, where they're like drumming their fingers going, oh my god, you know, I can't just... But one of the apps that's done so successfully is one called Calm. Have you seen this one? And then its advert that comes up on Insta or whatever, pick your social media weapon, and it's lovely. It's just rain falling on leaves, and it just says, do nothing for 15 minutes. And it's like, oh, that sounds good. That sounds nice. So I've picked that one up. I've been exploring that a little bit.
Well, that sounds helpful.
It's a nice one. Yeah.
It's a shame that we need an app to remind us to do that, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but I suppose...
But it's skillful means, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all right. Yeah.
So we were kicking ourselves in the car yesterday that we didn't build an app.
We could have invented that.
Rodney. We could have been millionaires. So on that subject, the headspace stuff and the popularism of mindfulness as opposed to meditation.
Yeah. Well,
what's the sort of difference? Because there's a lot of crossover now, misconception.
Sure. So the mindfulness movement is a big international movement now, isn't it? It came originally out of the work of John Kabat-Zinn in the States. Very popular. You can get it on the NHS now, I believe, in some areas.
Right.
It spawned quite a lot of different therapies based on mindfulness or awareness, direct awareness. But it has its roots in Buddhist meditation. That's where John Kabat-Zinn brings it from. So most mindfulness techniques that you'll be taught would involve some form of meditation. It may not be called meditation, but it will involve some aspect of calming the mind to some degree, turning towards an aspect of your experience and exploring that, bringing up some sense of curiosity about the nature of what's going on. So a simple example might be sitting down with a biscuit. So you might be encouraged to hold the biscuit, to feel the texture of the biscuit between your fingers, feel the weight of the biscuit, smell the biscuit.
My biscuits are not going to last that long.
Your biscuit's gone already, hasn't it? Yeah.
I need a few.
Yeah. So picking up the second biscuit, how does that one feel? Is it as heavy as the first one? And then eventually, putting the biscuit in your mouth, tasting the biscuit, how sweet is it? The texture.
It's torture.
Chewing it up.
You didn't bring biscuits.
I know. It's so cool, isn't it?
I brought you biscuits.
You brought us biscuits,
but
yeah.
Where are the biscuits?
I was eating them earlier. Yeah. So that's a very simple example of kind of just looking at something which is quite pleasurable. Eating a biscuit's a very nice thing to do, isn't it? But, you can sit there with your 3 or 4 screens up, can't you? Throwing biscuits in your gob like there's no tomorrow. They're not even touching the side, are they? They're just going straight on the old belly, and you're not even getting the pleasure of eating it. Whereas if you eat mindfully, you actually get the real pleasure from your food. You get that full 100% satisfaction from your food. You're living life in the moment, actually living your life. And you also get to notice when you feel full up. So you don't overeat. So mindfulness has been used as a way to help people that have eating disorders. It's also been helpful for people with chronic pain, people with depression. It's a really broad and helpful way of bringing Buddhism into secular everyday life without having to think about religion or belief. It's really just about looking at your experience and being curious about our lives, just not taking our lives for granted.
And what about Headspace and these kind of apps? Would you advise people to look at that as a kind of gateway into Buddhism, or do you think there's other ways, or there's other things you'd recommend first? Or
I think it's horses for courses, isn't it? You know, if you're leading the kind of life you were talking about, where you're up at 6 in the morning and you don't get home till 9 at night, you know, maybe putting an app on your phone and doing that on the train. You know, just having a guided meditation on the train to work. You know, it's better than looking at your phone and checking your emails and trying to do 3 or 4 things at once, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you can just sit there quietly on the train and, you know, have a 5-minute meditation while your coffee's cooling down, then that's fantastic, isn't it? And, you know, I think building in those moments throughout your day, you know, just learning some of those little techniques, like, you know, you can sit at your desk, can't you, with a cup of coffee, and you can just stop and no one's going to notice. You know, you can just sit there with your cup of coffee and take a moment, you know, to just connect with your body, come into the physical sensations, feel the experience of the chair underneath you, your feet on the ground, maybe your fingers on the keyboard, or the heat from the coffee cup. You know, just take a moment to just take 3 or 4 breaths. Really just come into your heart and connect with yourself. How am I feeling? How am I doing? How's my body? You know, have I got tension in my neck and shoulders? If I can just bring some kindly awareness to that, maybe that will just ease off a little bit. You know, here I am, living my life. You know, why am I doing this again? Oh yeah, because I care about my family. You know, actually I quite like this job. This is a nice office, these are good people. Yeah, I'm going out to lunch soon, that's going to be good. Oh yeah, today's a good day, I like Thursdays. You know, you take the big picture. You come into the immediate moment, you go into the small detail of the body sensations, and then reconnect to the bigger picture. And then get back on with your work. You know, it might only take 60 seconds.
That's a nice way to think about it. Yeah. As you say, which I think was such a lovely point, was no one knows that you do. Because, you know, you see people in all sorts of states on the train just having a wee snooze. No one, you get headphones in, have a wee snooze. You know, just close your eyes, no problem. No one knows what you're doing.
No. You can be standing at the printer, can't you? Watching something print out. No one knows that you're doing a body awareness or a body scan. No,
and it is just those simple things like feeling the chair, feeling the weight of your feet. You know, feel even just a wee bit of shoes off now and again.
Oh, going a bit far now, but okay.
Going a bit die hard. I
mean, it's first aid, isn't it? This is kind of first aid for the soul, isn't it? You know, it's how to survive as a human being with dignity and sanity in this world that we've created. You know, how do I reconnect with something more stable and solid? How do I come back to the meaning of my life in all this chaos?
It's pretty complex these days, right? There's a lot going on. It's in lots of ways the best time you could ever have existed for so many reasons. But in so many other ways it is the absolute worst. So it's tough.
And it's not like this sort of thing has to affect your work. You know, it's not like it has to have a detrimental effect on your output. I've got a friend who's been teaching mindfulness in corporations right from the very beginning, when mindfulness first sort of came into this country, sort of 20 years ago. He's made a lot of money, actually, teaching mindfulness.
Made a lot of money?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's one of the biggest industries.
He was right there at the beginning, so he did very well, teaching mindfulness to executives. You know, how do you function more effectively in the workplace? You know, how do you have that breadth and focus of awareness? How do I work with my mind so that I can go down into the detail of the fine print, get down into the figures, and then come back up and have that broad awareness of, you know, the context of this financial report? How do I move between the two?
Wow.
So I mean, it's a skill for life, and you can apply it in many different ways.
And you know, that's a stay on target. You know, don't get deflected. Stay on target, definitely. So the last couple of things as well, because I'm just getting aware that you're a bit boxed in there. But you're probably used to just sitting cross-legged. You're probably all right.
It's what I do for a living, isn't it?
So it's your professional sport. So the last couple of things I was going to say was. Just finding classes, and is there any particular websites or anywhere good to look for these things?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I recommend us.
Really?
The Awakened Heart Sangha. Funny that, isn't it? Why would I want to do that? But, you know, there are a lot of meditation groups out there, and lots of different kinds of meditation as well. If you're interested in the mindfulness thing rather than the Buddhist thing, so if you're really sort of a secular state of mind and you're not interested in the bigger questions, you just want that kind of first aid, how do I stay sane in this crazy world? Give me a couple of techniques. Then the apps can be very good. Or you can go to a mindfulness trainer. There are plenty of classes that you can go to, and plenty of mindfulness classes that are specific to particular needs. So, if your doctor said you have stress, mindfulness-based stress reduction is a classic. If you have, pain in the neck, you can learn to deal with that. So there's different specialisms within mindfulness. But make sure you're using a properly qualified trainer.
Yeah, beware. I've had a wee rip-off in the past. So.
Yeah, there are 2 or 3 big mindfulness training organisations in the UK. Make sure that you're going with someone that's done the right training and knows what they're talking about. Otherwise, you're just throwing money away. You might as well just pay £2 for the app. If you're interested in the Buddhism side of things, there's a lot of Buddhist groups in the UK now. We're a really interesting time in the Buddhist world, where for the first time ever, really, all the different Buddhist traditions from around the world have become aware of each other. It's not like the Zen tradition was aware of the Tibetan tradition, or the Southeast Asian schools were really aware of what the Chinese were up to. Because of the geographical spread of Buddhism, all these different schools have gone off and developed in slightly different ways. But now we're aware of each other, and we're able to read each other's teachings and look at each other's meditations and see what we have in common and what we do slightly differently. So it's a really interesting, exciting time in the world of Buddhism. So that we're lucky now we have everything available in the UK. There's plenty of Tibetan Buddhism and Zen Buddhism and modern groups like Triratna. So, the sky's the limit. You really, I would say, try a few different things and see what suits you. Obviously, the Awakened Heart Sangha is very good, and we do a distance learning course that you can do with a mentor, so that you can read the materials, do the meditations, and then talk about it with someone, or come along to one of our local groups. But yeah, there's a lot on offer out there. There's some really good meditation teachers.
Yeah, because you're really well set up for the distance learning, right? With the video screens and this kind of stuff.
Trained mentors and Skype calls and
Very cool.
Yeah, but yeah, try it out and see what works for you. That's the advice, really.
And then DIY stuff. So if you're going to do this, do try this at home. So
Do try this at home.
so if we're going to do it at home, kit. Or, set up.
Yeah.
What do you advise? Where would you start? A floor?
You don't. Yeah, have a floor. Start with the floor. You can meditate laying down. Just in a comfortable position, maybe with the knees bent and a small pillow under your head. Very good if you can stay awake. Otherwise, you can meditate in a chair. I think for most Westerners, that's a really good place to start. Comfortable upright chair. You can get meditation cushions and meditation stools, but they're not essential, and it's not really what it's about. Some people find it a better way to become focused. There's something grounding about meditating on the floor, I think, that can make you feel really solid and supported. Some people benefit from that, but you don't need a lot of equipment. And again, I would say, go along to a local class and use their equipment and see what works for you before you go out and buy anything. You don't have to spend a lot of money to learn to meditate.
Any books you'd advise?
I really like Lama Shenpen's Heart of Meditation, which is a very small booklet available on Amazon.
Okay.
I think it's about £7.
Okay.
And that really goes through some, what meditation is, how it works, what it does, and there's some really good reflections, and it's a really nice light way to start with the practice.
Excellent. And retreats and stuff?
Oh yeah. We're lucky in the UK. There must be
Quite a few,
probably
right?
30 Buddhist retreat centres in the UK, something like that. Yeah, lots and lots of resources available for us. So yeah, you can do retreats on your own, but I'd recommend starting with a group. So once you've found a tradition that seems to work for you, maybe try 2 or 3 different places and see what fits. And then get on retreat. Meditation on your own at home is one thing, but meditating with other people is a different feeling, isn't it? From I'm sure from the Milton Keynes class, you'd remember that it's a different.
I prefer it.
Yeah, a
There's
lot of people do.
Kind of energy, I think.
Yeah, and then when you do that in a retreat centre for a weekend or for a week, you find that the meditation changes again. Maybe you go a little bit deeper. Your mind becomes a little bit stiller, perhaps. And stuff will start to come up. You might find that there's things that you want to look at. Interesting things can start to happen.
Well, I think your shoulders come down a bit, and
at the very least, you're going to relax on.
Well, I think something you talk about sometimes is nothing to do, nowhere to be, or vice versa, whichever the flip of the sentence is. But that's always a nice thought. And when you've got that and you don't, because it's a weekend or it's a long day, or you can relax into it a bit more rather than, it's 2 hours and then I've got to go, and then I know I've got to get back, and this is happening, that's, you've got one eye on the traffic, and it's just...
No, it's lovely just to get out into the country, isn't it? And hang around with like-minded people, have some good food, do some meditation, go for walks, catch up on some sleep, and turn that mobile phone off.
Well, yeah, I mean, even last night, mobile phone was off pretty much, and then proper tiredness, actual proper tiredness, not because of non-stimulation. Which was good.
You can actually get in contact with that weariness, can't you, and just relax into it. Just let it. It's really joyful, isn't it? Just to acknowledge how tired you are and just go with it. There's a real bliss in that.
Being here for a week would be dangerous, I think, for me.
You may never leave.
Yeah, I'll just never wake up. Just like,
Well, look what happened to me.
And then the very last thing I was going to ask of you was just one piece of advice, I think, for people. Just that we're maybe, may have covered some of it already, actually, but just who were, just looking for a little nudge in the right direction to maybe just get a bit more out of their life, or get into meditation or Buddhism, or just a bit more fulfillment.
I would say find a really basic technique. It could be from an app, it could be from listening to an MP3 recorded meditation, or just something really simple. It doesn't need to be complicated. And then just try and find 5 minutes a day. Just have a bit of time for yourself, maybe just to sit and watch the breath, or to come into the awareness of the body. Just to, like you say, to let the shoulders drop and let the tension in the stomach go. And just to come home to ourselves, just to come home, to our heart, to what really matters to us. And if it's just 5 minutes a day, if you can do that every day, 7 days a week, 5 minutes a day is really revolutionary. But you have to do it every day. If you can make that aspiration to give yourself 5 minutes a day, we deserve it. We deserve 5 minutes a day. And if you can do it at work without people noticing, and you can get paid for it, that's even better, isn't it?
Okay. Well, we've got nothing to do and nowhere to be for the next
couple of hours at least.
3 hours, I think. Yeah, so cool. Well, listen, Jayasiddhi, thanks so much for your time and for doing this. It's really appreciated, and hopefully something very different for everyone. And we'll catch you up soon.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
So there you have it, a real life Buddhist monk, and nothing to worry about, nothing too odd or weird or I guess inhibiting or anything like that. So hopefully something quite approachable, and something that can give you some tips about how to de-stress, how to connect a bit more with your life, and also hopefully how to do business in a kinder way, and also look out for that kindness in colleagues, in clients, and in management as well. Thanks to Jayasiddhi as well for taking the time to sit down in a caravan in wet Wales to talk to us this week in the Spectacular Marketing Podcast. Thanks very much to everyone who listens week in, week out, and writes to us and gives us some really nice feedback and comments, and shares, reviews, and subscribes. And also, if you could just tell one friend, one person that you think would benefit from listening to the podcast, I would really, really appreciate that. Thanks also to Gabby, Gaz and Mihal for all of their hard work for putting together the Spectacular Marketing podcast every single week. I'm Mark McCulloch, and this was spectacular.